Hi, this is Wade Kapszukiewicz, Mayor of the City of Toledo, with another Wireside Chat. And today we're going to talk a little bit about these things, face coverings. And the reason we want to focus on this is because of what Governor Dewine announced earlier this week. This was a big week, and it was a week of great anticipation because everyone knew that the governor was going to announce his plan for reopening Ohio. And with the first reopenings to start as soon as May 1st, this Friday. I have to say, based on the calls we've gotten here to the mayor's office, I think there was some surprise, especially from restaurant owners and bar owners and folks who run barbershops and boutiques. I think there was an expectation that the governor was going to very boldly open everything up on May 1st. And I think there were some restaurants that were planning to open up Friday. And what we all learned is that Governor Dewine does things very deliberately and very thoughtfully. And I don't envy the situation he's in. He's trying to protect public health on one side, but also to try to get us back to something resembling normal on the other side, and to allow us to get back doing those things we enjoy doing, spending time with loved ones, getting outside, and frankly, going to work. So it's a tough needle to thread. And so while I think people were a little surprised that so few things are going to open this Friday, I do think that there's some strategy here, and I think the governor is being guided by science. So what did he announce? The first wave of openings, the first loosening of restrictions comes May 1st. And generally speaking, hospital visits that don't require an overnight stay, certain basic medical appointments can resume. So if you have to go to the dentist or you have to get a checkup, that'll be okay. If you want to take your pet to the vet, that's going to be okay. That'll be the first wave of reopenings. Then on May 4th, general office work will be allowed to occur. Construction, distribution, manufacturing is going to see some loosening, and people are going to be able to start to go back to work there. But the big date in his order is May 12th. That is when retail, in a pretty substantial way, is going to come back online. But even then, there are going to be restrictions, and that's where we get back to face coverings and cloth like this. Because while we are understandably anxious to get back to how things used to be, as we are seeing from how slow and deliberate the governor's order has been, we're not going to get back to how we were very quickly. This is going to come in slow, steady steps. And even when we are able to go to a retail store on May 12th, for instance, we are probably going to have to continue to do things that are uncomfortable for us, to remain socially distant. While the governor is not going to require or mandate that we wear face coverings, it certainly is a CDC recommendation, and it's his strong recommendation. And businesses, if they choose, can decide to deny you entry into their place of business if you don't, for instance, have a face covering, or in some cases gloves, or whatever rule or restriction that business may deem necessary. So there are going to continue to need to be restrictions and regulations that might make us feel uncomfortable because we're social and we want to get out and hug and shake hands and get back to how we used to be, but it's gonna take a while. And an indication of that is that something that we all expected to be open on May 1st, restaurants, bars, there's not even a date on that yet. I think that's gonna happen by the end of May, maybe early June, but the governor wouldn't even put a date on that yet. I think that's an indication of how slow this is happening. Large public gatherings, we are several weeks, if not months, away from that. We are never truly gonna get back to how we were until we have a vaccine. And that could be a year from now, a year and a half from now. So we're all excited that the governor has loosened some restrictions. But even as we start to go back and do things like dentist appointments and be able to shop at retail stores, doesn't mean we're going to go back to normal. We're going to have to continue to do things that we didn't have to do a couple months ago. We're going to have to take reasonable common sense steps to make sure that this virus doesn't spike again, because in every other country where this has happened, after an initial spike and a period of cooling down, in most other cases there was another spike because people got complacent. They felt that the threat was over and they went back to doing things the way they were a little too soon. We can't afford to let that happen, and that is why, even though the governor isn't mandating this, it really makes a lot of sense that when you go out to that retail store on May 12th, for instance, that you go to a store, invest in just a little, at least the very least, a little cheap cloth like this, or some sort of a face cloth or anything. It doesn't have to be an official N95 mask, just a little something to do everything we can to stop the spread of this deadly virus. So again, good news this week. Things are starting to reopen. It's going to happen slowly, though. Step by step, one day at a time, we're going to get through this, and we'll be here from time to time giving some helpful tips and advice on how to get through it. Thank you.